that some of the decisions I have been asked to make didn't sit with me as a person. I just said, I'm going to start a recruitment company, and I don't know where it came from. So I did. I have never, in the 19 years I've been in recruitment, abided by any of the rules of recruitment. So I could disrupt this, but I'm 55 years old and I can't be bothered. How does it feel when we get a job? It's incredible. It's the most incredible, fulfilling thing in the whole world. The chair said, that went really well, didn't it, Tracy? And I said, it was shit, mate.
This is the Leeds Business Podcast, and I'm your host, Phil Fraser. Before we start, I have one simple request. Please hit the follow or subscribe button on the app that you're listening on. Today's episode with Tracy Fletcher covers her time in banking and recruitment, with some great advice for you when you recruit staff. And then we go on to discuss Smart Works, where she's the chair. Listen not only to what Smart Works does, but more importantly, how you can support and get involved with this much needed and highly effective charity. So, let's go. On today's Leeds Business Podcast, I am delighted to have with me Tracy Fletcher, Chair of Smart Works Leeds. Good morning, Tracy.
Hi, how are you doing?
Let's go backwards. Obviously, we're going to talk about Smart Works a bit further on.
Yeah.
Talk to me briefly about your background. You started in banking, is that right?
Yes. So in 1986, which I'm sure some of the listeners won't have actually been alive, but I joined Midland Bank after doing my A-levels. And I had a fantastic 20-year career with HSBC, as was, predominantly in Yorkshire. Spent a little bit of time in London. I did senior leadership roles in retail and business banking. I was headed up the operational risk function for the north of England for a wee while, which was probably the most grown-up job I've ever had. And I left HSBC, and my last job was I was senior retail branch manager for the cluster of branches in and around Sheffield. That included business banking, retail and private banking. I think I had about 120 staff, and probably the second biggest P&L in the north of England. So it was quite another grown-up job, really. I'm not quite sure how I got there, but there you go.
Okay. I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff in there. What do you think were the main skills you learnt from that?
I think my expertise is around leading and managing large teams. What the bank taught me is how a bank works, which I think is an extraordinarily complicated beast. So I've got a lot to thank HSBC for. It's a fantastic employer. But I think what I was very good at, if I'm blowing my own trumpet, is managing and leading people. Okay.
So what makes a good manager and leader of people?
I think you can apply this question to every aspect of my life. I believe. I think you have to be kind. I think kindness is right up at the top of a responsibility for any leader when you're looking after people. People are what they are. They are people. They are human beings. They're not strategic pawns in a chess game. They are human beings with a backstory and wants and needs and feelings. So kindness, I think, is massively important. I have a very heightened moral compass. I have a very, very strong sense of justice and what's right and what's wrong and fairness. And I have, and that's actually to my detriment sometimes, Phil. I feel things. I've got very high emotional intelligence, so I feel things quite a lot. And I've got listening. You have to be a really good leader. You have to listen.
You mentioned the banks. We had a guest on a few weeks ago, Dean Hartley, who.
Oh yeah.
His business was right in the middle of the banking crisis and basically got driven to the edge of extinction by the way the banks acted. You're not here to apologise for all the banks, but what was it like from the other side?
So it's really interesting because I left HSBC in 2006 and started up a recruitment company into financial services a year before the biggest financial crash we had. And I managed to weather that, which was fine because I started small and kept small. But one of the reasons I decided to leave the bank, and not that I didn't fall out of love with HSBC, as I said before, it was an extraordinarily good employer and a very fair employer. But what I felt I was at odds with, which again, back to my own sense of fairness and kindness, is that some of the decisions I have been asked to make didn't sit with me as a person. And I'll give you a really good example. So if you have, and this is business, this is what happens. If you have a business that is struggling and you want to lend them money, then their risk profile is high, and therefore you have to charge them more to borrow that money. And that is good business sense. And, you know, in every lending course I ever went on, I know that's the economics of how things work. It did not sit well with me. It felt wrong that we were penalising an individual or a company that was already struggling and making it even harder for them to survive. And that's when I realised that if I carried on with this career trajectory that I'd had with the bank, and you know, it was going strong, that I would become more and more at odds with how it felt to be me as a human being.
Okay. So would you say that was the main reason you left?
And it's slightly more complicated than that. My mum and dad passed away the year before, and they were only in their early 60s, and they died within 6 weeks of each other, which was a little bit difficult. But the bank again was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant with me. But I think I had that moment when I thought, oh, is this it now? Am I now going to be 20 years, another 20 years working for this glorious organisation? And I thought I needed to spread my wings and listen to my heart rather than my head. So I took a sabbatical initially. So I asked my boss, Castu, and she was really good. The bank had a scheme where if you were one of the senior management, you could take kind of a couple of breaks in a specific time period, and you were guaranteed to go back in the same grade and not break your pension, which was critical for me because I was one of the last people to have a final salary pension scheme. So I applied and they said yes. And literally, honestly, Phil, the first day that I didn't go into work, I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I'm worrying about something. And what I realized, I was worrying because I couldn't think of what I needed to worry about. And in my head, then I knew I wasn't going to go back.
Right. It was that quick, that light, but I suppose the light switching on moment was just that quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea what I was going to do. And luckily my husband's a very patient man. And he fully supported me having this break in employment, because we both said, I'll go back. And then it was only, it was dawned really quickly that I didn't really want to. And I took the summer off and walked the dogs, and then the reality sort of dawned on Kevin, and he kept going, what are you going to do then, Trace, if you don't go back? Obviously, we'd halved our income overnight, and I just blurted it out. I just said, I'm going to start a recruitment company, and I don't know where it came from.
No idea where that sentence came from.
I think subconsciously, I had, in my last job, as I said, or my last couple of jobs, I'd had very large teams, and attrition in retail banking is an issue. And my experience of working with external recruitment companies was mediocre at best. And I think I thought, well, you know what? I've done 20 years in banking. How hard could it be?
It's amazing how many people start up businesses. And I started the podcast with the same sentence. How hard can it be? And it's always whatever it is, it's always a million times harder than it looks from the outside.
Yeah. And I haven't a clue. I don't even now I don't even know the terminology. Even after 19 years in recruitment, I can't remember the difference between retained assignment and the other one, whatever the other one is.
Yeah. Okay. So, I've been thinking about this actually since we agreed to do this. You've gone from a fairly unpopular sector,
That's what I thought.
as in banking, and then you jump into a sector that, with all due respect, and I have been a recruitment consultant for a short time, it's people look at you and go, "That's just money for old rope."
I know. Well, it's no surprise that when I first became a recruiter or owner of a recruitment business, I used to introduce myself as, "Oh, I'm Tracy, I'm in recruitment, but I'm a banker by profession," because being a banker is marginally more respectable than being a recruiter until the financial, anyway, so.
Okay. So how does one go about setting up a recruitment consultant from a blank piece of paper?
I can only answer how I did it. I don't
Okay, how did you do it?
Okay, I can't say that. I'm pretty certain this is not a blueprint for setting up a recruitment company at all. So the first thing is, I've never, in the 19 years I've been in recruitment, abided by any of the rules of recruitment. I haven't. It's not who I am. So I've applied my values into recruitment as I did in every aspect, or as I still do in every aspect of my life. So I have a very high sense of justice, and I've got a very strong moral compass. So literally, the first thing I did was I went to, it was a guy called Chris Forrest, who was the unsuspecting first client I ever had. He's just left Barclays. He was the head of commercial banking for Barclays, and I met him at it was dreadful. It was an accountant's dinner they're so tedious. I'm sorry, accountants. I love you all, but your dinners are really tedious, and you still pass the port to the left, which is just hilarious. Anyway, so I was at this accountant's dinner, and I thought I'll try on I'd not set the business up. I'd just met of my then business partner, which is another story, Phil. If you want to know that, just let me know. And I went to this accountant's dinner, and for the first time, instead of saying I was a banker, I said I was a recruiter. And Chris Forrest kind of rolled his eyes because he said, "Oh my God, I've got sat next to the recruiter." And I said, "Well, can I come round and chat with you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I suppose, come round tomorrow." So he grilled me for an hour. If anybody who knows Chris knows that he is a very decent man, but a very thorough man. And he grilled me about what I knew about banking, which is quite a lot, actually. Thank God he didn't ask me anything about recruitment. And then he just said, get your pen out. And he gave me something like 20 jobs to recruit for there and then.
Wow.
So I got I was absolutely in shock, and I phoned up Charlotte, who was my business partner, and we literally just met, and I said, "We're in trouble, Charlotte." She was working at Sue Ross Recruitment. She's a lawyer by profession. And I said, "We're in trouble. We didn't have a candidate database. We didn't have any software. We didn't have a logo. Oh, and we might have had a logo. We had nothing. And we had 20 jobs to fill." Anyway, so unfortunately for HSBC, I did pillage quite a few members of staff from HSBC. Apologies. It's a big, and that's how it started. So we started with that, and then we picked up Handelsbanken as a client, and then Santander and HSBC. They forgave me in the end. But how I done it is it's about relationship. So I speak to the bank, explain who I am. They like me because I am a banker, not a recruiter. Everything we did with integrity. We didn't overcharge. We were honest about the candidates. We were honest about the roles. We didn't try and shoehorn inappropriate candidates into roles. We always were upfront about what the salaries were with the candidates. We didn't have any of this nonsense of, "Oh, it's secret squirrel and we can't tell you." And we never took a retained assignment, which is that bit I think where you have to pay up front of it. And because I back me, I don't want your money unless I can do the job. And we built, and I'm very well connected. I'm very lucky that I've spent now 38 years broadly in professional services. So I have a very, very, very strong network of people who are very kind, and I've helped them and they helped me. And that's what we did.
Wow, I love the fact that you pitch for the first time and come up with 20 jobs and go,
I know.
oh shit, we haven't got any candidates. So you alluded to it. So go on, tell me how you met your business partner.
So Charlotte, she, as she said, she was working at Sue Ross Recruitment, but she was a lawyer. She's actually a business coach now, and a jolly good one, by the way. But she was signing some security documentation at Handelsbanken. This is no, honestly, this is the honest truth, Phil. So she went in to see my husband, who'd moved from HSBC to Handelsbanken in Sheffield. She rocked up to sign some security documentation because her then husband had a property business and, quite a few different businesses. And my husband went, "What do you do, Charlotte?" And she said, "I'm a lawyer by profession, but I'm currently working in recruitment." To which he responded, "You want to speak to my wife? She's set in a recruitment business." So next thing, he's done a drive-by past her house, thrown me out, and we just set up a business. Never met her before in my life.
So you sort of knock on the door, go, "Hi, I'm Tracy."
Well, I obviously emailed her and said, "My husband thinks we should meet." Anyway, so we did. And we had, things don't always go the way we plan, but we had 7 really good years working together and establishing a very, very credible recruitment business, which with a banker and a lawyer, there's every joke known to man in there, isn't there? But it worked because professional services liked us because we were one of them, and we were thoughtful recruiters with a moral compass who were trying to do the best. And I absolutely understand, and I think recruiters out there should take a moment to think about this. If you are, and I mean, the biggest fee I ever earned for one individual was £32,000. Now that's a lot of money. Now, if I'm earning £32,000, I am absolutely giving you the best service I can possibly give you. I don't want it if I've not earned it.
Yeah.
And a lot of recruitment companies have very high churn, and they have they're almost kind of a process. It's a process driven and environment with high targets, high stress levels. And we have been successful, and we've 19 years, and I passed the baton on to my current. So I had a co-director, Alison, who took over from Charlotte, and then we did 10 years together. And she bought my half of the business last year because I just about had enough. 19 years is a long time to be in recruitment, but we in all the time that we have been in business, and we had 6 members of staff at one point. We had some soft targets, which is we need to cover your costs and make a bit of a profit, but we never had KPIs for the number of calls that you needed to make, or because that's what drives divisive behaviour. If you have targets for calls, if you have targets for placements, then what you're doing is you're encouraging people to not do the right thing. And part of this is it's making sure that your values in your company are correct, but also that your recruitment is right. So you're recruiting the right people, and that actually in recruitment is very hard. I'm a good recruiter, but sometimes recruiting for yourself is not as easy as you think it is.
So we've got lots of business owners who are listening to this. How do they get the best out of the recruitment consultancies they're using to recruit their staff for them?
I think it's all about in the brief. So any good recruiter will listen very carefully to the brief, but stick to the brief once you've briefed your recruiter. And because, and I'll give you a really good example. So I did some recruitment for a bank, which shall remain nameless, and the brief was, we are happy to take people who have got capability but no experience, because we understand that there isn't much specialism in this part of the world for these types of candidates. So if the more specialist you get with a role, so if you're looking at a product specialist or a risk specialist, depending on whereabouts in the country you are, there might not be that many candidates. And especially if you're asked, if we're looking at a diverse shortlist. So if we're going to break the problems that we have in banking, from a gender perspective, an ethnicity perspective, and a social mobility perspective, we have to recruit for capability and not experience, because it's never going to happen. So this particular bank said, absolutely, we understand, Tracy, that there isn't the expertise in this area for this specialism. So if you can find somebody with the capability but not the experience, and I think I also said, what if they've got the experience of the product but they don't have the network? And they've said, fine, we can give them the network. And that was a beautiful, beautiful message to receive until I started to present the candidates. And so the disconnect is somebody up there says, we are an employer that we embrace diversity, inclusion, all that kind of thing. And then the hiring manager recruits in his own or her own image and doesn't adhere to what the brief was. And the other thing is, let's not make recruiters play fastest finger first, because that's how you get crap candidates. So if you engage 8 recruitment companies to on one job, we've all got the same candidate. So instead of being thoughtful recruitment, you just get, oh my God, we need to just wang a load of CVs over, because if we don't, somebody else is going to do it, and that's not helpful. It's not great for candidate experience, and it makes it stressful for the recruiter.
Right. Okay. Some great advice there. Some great advice. You've mentioned a couple of things in terms of the structure of the business. So your original partner stayed for what did you say, 7 years? 7
years, yeah.
Okay. So, and then you talked about sort of exiting through your new partner. So what happened with Charlotte? How did this? Was it an amicable split, or talk us through that?
Yeah, we're very good friends now. We had, yeah. I mean, being in business with somebody is like a marriage, isn't it? And I think Charlotte and I we were on the same page for quite a while, and then we started to develop a different idea about kind of the direction of travel for the business. And, that was quite difficult because we're both very strong-minded women. And it became apparent that we couldn't, we weren't, we tried, we even got a consultant to come in and help us try and navigate it, but we couldn't get on the same page. So it was sensible, because we would have just run it into the ground if we hadn't have agreed that it wasn't the right thing to do. So I bought Charlotte out at that point, and she went off to do some other stuff. And then Alison, who was our senior consultant, she bought in to the
right. Okay. So what were those strategic differences? Because a lot of people talk, when they talk about founders, and they say, find a partner that is sort of a yin to your yang and all that sort of thing. So actually, business partners together sometimes is seen as the ideal. But you said what were the strategic differences that pulled you apart?
I think we both quite. I mean, and in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? So I think we probably could have worked through it a little bit better, but I think there was some egos in play, both of our egos in play. So I think both of us had, and the other thing is we both had a really good skill set in both camps. So both of us loved client development, loved it. And both of us were really quite fed up of actually the day-to-day dreg of candidate, finding candidates and speaking to candidates. So we both loved this great shiny thing of going out to HSBC and having a few drinks and, securing another contract and then bringing home the bacon and then somebody else to do the actual recruitment. So I think we got a little bit at odds, and I think we got a little bit narked with each other. And neither of us wanted to, and we should have just employed some more people, because we had national and global contracts with most of the big banks at this point. So we could have we could have gone bigger, but we need, and the counterpoint of that is because we are, the reason why the company has been so successful for 19 years and we've navigated some really difficult things, financial crash and COVID. COVID was nearly did for us because there was no recruitment happening, obviously, but because we've been very, very conservative in our approach to the business. So if you see some recruiters that they just go shit and bust all the time, they're like, oh, we've got all this recruitment we're doing. Let's buy a big shiny office. Let's employ 27 people. Let's all have great company cars. We never did any of that. We never borrowed any money at all, which is very hilarious for a banker, isn't it? Oh, we don't like that, borrowing that money. So we grew very, very organically. And then when in hindsight, we probably could have just pushed it and we'd have been fine. But actually, part of it was its quasi lifestyle for me. You know, having a big career in the bank, brilliant, but having something that just pays my bills and allows me flexibility is heaven.
Yeah. Okay, so let's fast forward to exiting. So how did that come about, and what did the structure look like, and what did the process look like?
It was really easy because Alison and I get on very well. So we had a very, and it continues to be very difficult in recruitment. So another takeout for anybody listening: if you are using a recruiter, don't untether them, because recruiters are needed more than ever at the minute. But we went through this painful moment of COVID, and we weathered that very well. Alison and I, we did. We do what we always do. We go in a different direction, do some other stuff, and we then got to came out of that, and then all of a sudden, this wonderful thing called AI starts to leach into recruitment. Now there is a place for AI in recruitment, but how it is being used at the minute is like it's like a blunt instrument, because nobody's using it in a sophisticated, well, that's a bit of a sweeping statement. It's not being used sophisticatedly. So what you have is, you have a big bank who now thinks, I don't need a recruiter. I've got AI. So I put a load of job specs through ChatGPT or whatever, and I'll stick them on LinkedIn. And then you wake up the next morning, there's 700 applications in your inbox. And so because you've got AI, you let AI shortlist for you. But what you don't realise is that 755 of those applications are people who have got their own bots, who are just applying remotely, and they've put their CVs through the same ChatGPT that the job spec's gone through. So all the really fantastic candidates that are absolutely beautifully placed to do that job are not even getting acknowledgements. They're not even getting, oh, thanks, but no thanks. They're just falling off a cliff. And people, you know, there's when we talk about Smart Works, we'll come on to this, but there are people applying for hundreds and hundreds of jobs and not even getting acknowledgement. There were candidates that we were talking with who got 30 years experience of very specialised work in banking, and they weren't even getting acknowledgement. And so the work was drying up, and these poor candidates, and, you know, 19 years ago, I disrupted the industry massively by saying, I don't have any rules. I will do what's fair. I'll walk away from a candidate if I won't let the candidate lose that opportunity. If somebody's saying that they put their CV in first, I'm not going to do that. I might have walked away from thousands of pounds over the years, but I did the right thing. But when I looked at this and I thought, I could disrupt this, but I'm 55 years old and I can't be bothered. So that's where I got to. And Alison is younger than me, not much, Alison, just saying, but she's younger than me, and she still had that fight in her. And I just thought, I'm 55. I've fallen out of love with it a little bit. I don't want to I haven't got the spirit to push back again. And I could have done it. I could have disrupted it, but it would have been. I'm 55. I'm 56 now, actually, but I'm 55, and I wanted to have a little bit more fun. didn't want it to be such hard yards. Does that make sense, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a number of people who sort of post-COVID had the same feeling. Like, can I not necessarily can I be asked, but have I got the fire in me to go again? And a lot of people said, you know what, I've had enough, and walk away. So how did the actual deal work? Did you get an external valuer in to value the business, or did you just agree a price? Or
we just did it between ourselves, and then we did it between ourselves. It was just so. I mean, we've worked together so nicely, and we have the same values and we have the same moral compass. So basically, we agreed the price. We got Emma Haggis, Renew Legal. That's my first shout out, first of many, to sort out the legal documentation, and that was that. It was done. And I'm not precious, even though it was my baby. I keep the logo, keep the name, keep everything. It's yours now. And we did have a discussion about me going back as a non-exec, but we both decided that actually that wouldn't work for Alison, because she would be always second guessing what the direction of travel should be, because it was my company at the beginning, and that's not fair.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so before we go on to Smart Works, I want to tell everybody about the Leeds Business Podcast Fair Deal. The Leeds Business Podcast Fair Deal has two sides to it. My side of the deal, I bring you every week, totally free of charge. Interesting, inspirational, motivational, and fascinating guests like Tracy. You, listener and viewer, have one job, one task as part of the fair deal, and that is to recommend this podcast to one other person you feel will get a benefit from it. So that's the Leeds Business Podcast Fair Deal. Sound like a fair deal, Tracy?
It's a very, very fair deal.
Tracy says it's a fair deal. Okay, so let's talk Smart Works. Firstly, tell everybody what Smart Works is and what it does, and then tell us how you got involved.
So in a nutshell, Smart Works is a women's employability charity. So we coach and dress women for interview success. What I mean by that is we have clients referred to us from majority of referral partners. We have 140 referral partners, but the majority of them, in fact, we've got 240 now. The majority of them are the DWP. So, we have a woman who has got an interview lined up, and the job centre refers them to us. We also work with the two women's prisons, so Newhall and Aston Grange, and a number of kind of charity partners who are helping women to get back into employment. So they come to us, and our core services, if you have an interview coming up, we will provide you with an interview outfit to keep. And then we will also give you an hour's coaching on how to boss your interview. We also have an additional service where if you are further from the job market, so you're not in that position where you're starting to apply for a job, we do offer an hour's career coaching. So that's things like, what's a job board? What does your CV look like? How do you apply for a job? What's the covering letter? All that kind of thing. Now that sounds like a really, really simple intervention. It's so much more. So Smart Works actually is about how we inject confidence into women who are seeking employment, often who have very, very difficult backgrounds. Not always, but we work with homeless charities, we work with domestic abuse charities, we work with the two prison services, we work with refugee charities. So we've been working with the two Ukraine refugee charities. So often, not always, but often the clients, when they walk through the door, their confidence is absolutely on the floor. They're frightened to come into Smart Works because it's the unknown. They've been they've been pushed down for so long. They feel like that's where they belong. And so a lot of what we do is about how we build that confidence up for a woman, and not just for women actually, but for men as well. The first bit about confidence is what you wear. So how you show up, and making sure that you have the right clothing can inject a woman with confidence. And when she looks in the mirror, we do the dressing first for a reason. So when we've helped them to pick out a beautiful curated outfit, including accessories, all that kind of thing, you can see we call it the magic mirror moment, where you can see their shoulders going up, and then they're more attuned to going in for the interview and for the coaching. And the statistics, I mean, we helped 1,000 women last year. I'll talk about the premises move at some point, but that 1,000 women, 63% went on to get a job within a month of accessing the service. So that's 630 women who have become not necessarily completely economically independent, but we're helping them to become economically independent in a world that is difficult to be economically independent. So, yeah, so that's the service. How did I get involved? Well, I started life as a coach. So I was approached by Ruth Cherry as one of my trustees, and she said, we're starting this charity. This was her and Helen Alderman, who I know you know, Phil, who said that they thought Smart Works, there was a need for Smart Works in Leeds, which there absolutely is. And they were brave and bold and committed enough to actually start the service. Ruth came to me and said, would you be an interview coach? Because we're powered by volunteers. We've got over 100 volunteers that are looking after the service. And it coincided with COVID. So I got no else to do, mate. I was like, well, there's no recruitment. So I ended up, I mean, I think I coached nearly every day over that summer, virtually, obviously. And then I was asked if I'd applied to be a trustee. So I applied and I got the job. It's all free, honestly. So I've sold my business and now I do it all for no. Anyway, it's fine. And Helen then played the best game of chess I've ever seen in my life. Because she said, the service is getting really busy. I'm really busy with this new venture. I've asked group and they said I can have a co-chair. Would you do me the honour? I was like, yeah, of course I will. And then about 6 months later, she went, do you know, I'm a bit busy, mate. Could you just be chair now? And I was like, all right, that's fair enough. So she's still on the board, which is beautiful. But, you know, so I am now chair.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned Helen. That's Helen Oldham. She has been a guest on the podcast, so there'll be a link to Helen's interview on here. I've done a bit of coaching. Just talk us through what it feels like when you coach somebody who's, you know, the bottom of the pile, and then they go out and get themselves a job. How does that feel?
There's a lot of crying goes on at the centre. Happy tears, obviously, but on the way, sometimes you the sympathy. So look, take a step back. When we talk about coaching, it's not as grand as some of the coaching that you and I have done, Phil, in the past. You know, so a lot of, you know, when I've been coaching, your first client might be somebody whose English is their second or third language. They're wanting a teaching assistant job, or they're going for a cleaning job. Equally, they might. We had a spell with the, you know, kind of all the problems that are going on in COVID. We had a lot of professionals found themselves after 30 years out of work. And some of the refugees that come in have had really high-powered jobs and are having to start again. So it's back to my really early point. You listen and you listen carefully, and you encourage them, and you try. It is, again, it's confidence, because they just don't know they can do it. So it's things like, if you've been a stay-at-home mum, then you're apologising for not working. Don't apologise for not working. Let's talk about what your transferable skills are. Well, basically, you've been project managing two under 3-year-old terrorists, but, you know, and everything that entails. Your time management skills are going to be on point. You know, everything about being a mother is valuable. And so part of this coaching is not just about practically, although there is some practical, well, you know, how would you answer this question? So we show them the STAR technique, and we talk about what kind of questions you might want to ask in an interview. But a lot of it is about, you are good enough. And how does it feel when we get a job? It's incredible. It's the most incredible, fulfilling thing in the whole world. And that's the reason why when you start volunteering and getting involved in Smart Works, you just want more and more of it.
Yeah. Couple of things, just a couple of threads I want to pull on there. you've got, like you say, you've got some either high-powered person from a foreign country who's back at the bottom, or you've got mums going back into, or even first time going into the workplace. A lot of this, professionally, we always talk about the imposter syndrome. It's similar to that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we all need a purpose in life, don't we? So if and a job is a purpose in life. So if that's taken away from you, you do feel that you're not good enough. So again, our coaches, we have some wonderful coaches, and I get imposter syndrome if I'm on a Zoom with any of the coaches, and you look at some of their pedigrees and backgrounds. We've got people with masters and PhDs, and they've had successful coaching companies and all this kind of thing. But what they all have in common is empathy, kindness, and patience, and we are all working towards this common purpose. We can teach the coaches the practicalities of what to talk about in a coaching interview. So these are the job boards that are currently, and we try and match coaches with clients. So I had a Ukrainian refugee who was an investment banker, and they matched her with me. Obviously, got her a job and all. So there you go. Thanks, Sarah Hex. There's a bit of that, but we recruit very carefully. So our volunteers, both our dressers and our coaches, are absolutely the right type of people to help these women understand that they are worth it.
Yeah. Just tell our listeners your imposter syndrome story that you told me yesterday.
Got so many, but this is the one. So a really good friend of mine, Jo Smedley, Zest Learning. She's got a book out called Girl with a Big Heart. So that's on Amazon. And she asked me to come and do a talk for International Women's Day last year about imposter syndrome. So I Googled examples of imposter syndrome because I felt my examples might not be good enough. And then I had to have a word with myself. So the example I gave to the audience was the fact I'd Googled my answers because I didn't think my own ones would be good enough.
So your imposter syndrome wasn't good enough quality imposter syndrome. Love that. Absolutely love it. Absolutely.
I didn't actually tell you as well, though, that because I've got a really, really, considering, this is a women's employability charity that focuses on fashion as a force for good. And I have a very complicated relationship with clothing. And I showed up, and this is the other thing I showed the audience. So I got a little backpack, and I showed them the second outfit I got in my backpack, just in case when I got there, everybody was dressed in a different style to me.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So Smart Works, you've just sorted out, or you're just about to sort out a doubling in the size of the premises, aren't you?
We've got a big year, listeners. Just FYI. So pin your ears back. So we're in the process. We have to move because we are creaking at the seams. So we've got 2,000 square footage at the minute, and we've got 2 interview rooms and 2 dressing rooms. And there are more than 50,000 women currently in our region that need us. And we helped 1,000 last year. We have a proven model. We know that we can do better at this and help more women. So Anna Sutton's, another shout out, Anna Sutton's old gaff opposite us in Mabgate Mills came up, and it's 4,000 square feet. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it will future-proof the charity probably for the next 10 years. It will allow us to have 4 interview rooms, 4 dressing rooms. It will allow us to have space for clothes to look after probably up to 4,000 women a year. It will allow us to do more virtual dressing. It will allow us to have a flexible space so that we can bring, in the moment, we have, our space is safe for clients. So if we have women in there who are undressing, we don't have men in and that's not us being sexist or anything, that's just being practical. But the space will allow us to change everything round so that we have a safe space, but it means that we can be flexible with what we've got left, so we can bring clients and we can bring grant providers in. And, we can make it more of a community hub, which is what we're hoping to do, where we can run confidence workshops and things like that. But the ask is this. So it's a beautiful blank space. It's going to cost us about 150 grand to fit it out, and Design Tonic, another beautiful Leeds-based company, are helping us with that. And we will be doubling our rent, and we will need additional staff to help with the additional influx of clients. So we've just launched a capital appeal for £250,000. Thank you very much. So we are out there at the moment pressing flesh as much as we can to say, if you have a company where your values are aligned to us, if your CSR profile is all about getting women into work or helping support gender bias, all those kind of things, come and talk to me, because we can put your money to very good use, and we can help more and more of the region's women. And that's where we are with that. We've got all sorts of super duper things coming up to help raise the money. So we do pop-up fashion shops, and the beautiful Jo Coburn from Victoria Gate lets us have space twice a year for free, so that we can do pop-ups to raise money. We do International Women's Day. We've got places at the Leeds 10K. So if you fancy doing the Leeds 10K in June, come and talk to me. We've got some free spaces, as long as you obviously raise money for us. And we've got the big thing is if we can get corporate and businesses who are prepared to maybe sponsor some of the rooms. So if we have a coaching room, you could name a coaching room after your company for a year, and give us a donation. So there's all sorts coming up, but it's a big year for us. But the impact that we will have in our Leeds community and our wider Yorkshire community will be huge.
So if anybody wants to get, are you taking just cash donations? Have you got like a GoFundMe or anything like that?
So we have, we've got, obviously, we're quite an established charity, so we're quite sophisticated in our approach to this. So you can make donations via the website. If you want to hear more about some of the ways that you can get involved and become a corporate partner or become a collective member, which is for individuals who can pay a subscription to be part of our club, if you like, then you can just drop me a line or go by the website. If you want a QR code, just let us know. We can do that. You can do a community thing, set up a Just Giving page. We can set you a Just Giving page up. We can do whatever you want to do. We will take your money. So right. I sound like Bob Geldof, don't I? Give us your money. Sorry.
There'll be a link in the show notes to the Smart Works website. But how else? Are you looking for volunteers? Are you looking for? Where question in my mind. So where do all the clothes come from? If we've got fashion retailers listening to this, can they donate clothes? How does that work?
Yeah. So okay, I'll do volunteers first, and I'll do clothes. I love talking about Smart Works. It's my favourite thing in the world. So if we're always looking for volunteers, we are powered by volunteers. So we have people who do the service delivery. So they book the clients in. We have people doing outreach, and we have people doing fundraising. They're all paid members of staff, but all the kind of support for the clients is done by volunteers. So we're always looking for volunteer dressers. You don't have to have a fashion degree or anything like that. You just you need to love clothes and love people. And we're always looking for volunteer coaches. So again, you don't need to have a coaching qualification. It would be useful if you have recruited people before, because then you know what's what. Or a lot of our coaches actually are recruiters, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because they kind of know the score. But we're also looking for people who might want to volunteer in social media, administration, wardrobe. So if you are keen on supporting Smart Works, and you don't think a coaching or a dressing job is for you, don't feel you can't get in touch with us, because we're a business just like any other, and we run a business like any other. So that's that. So clothing. clothing is a big part of what we do. So we're very lucky that group. So there are 11 centres in the UK at the minute. And we have a group function. So they have some fantastic national partnerships with the likes of Burberry, Marks and Spencer's, John Lewis, Stamp and Dude. And then we have, there's millions more, Phil, by the way, but you could go on forever. And then we have our own local partnerships. So we have some, Murder and Pell are very generous to us. Russell and Bromley are very generous to us. Joe Brown's are, I'll be doing it a service because I'll forget quite a few, but we've got loads of brilliant local partnerships. But we also encourage people to donate their clothing to us. The caveat being it has to be in absolutely pristine condition. I mean, I've done it so many of my clothes because one day I went to bed and I woke up with an extra rib. So literally, all those clothing I've been hanging on to, they hope that I might drop a stone, have all gone. Women, if you're out there and you've got clothes with your tags in still that you're not going to wear, bring them to us because we can easily put them in wardrobe for our client. So work appropriate wear. We're always on the lookout for flat black shoes. They've got to be beautiful. The can't be scuffed or anything like that. You wouldn't put a client in anything that's substandard. It's not kind. But if you've got a big ball gown that you've worn once and you don't think you wear it again, please bring it to us because we will either put it in a pop-up shop or we'll sell it on Vinted. We will get the money for that. And if you are a company and you want to do something for us and you don't, giving £5,000 is not on your agenda, have a clothing drive. Get people to bring their work wearing, anything, bring it in and then bring it to the centre.
Okay. Right. So you can get involved as a volunteer, you can get involved with coaching, you can get involved with supplying clothes, you can donate, you can run a marathon, just like any other charity, just, we'll take your money however it comes. Sort of
Absolutely. Yeah. But we're kind about it. And we have a tribe now, and that's the other thing. So we had an International Women's Day event, our first that we did ourselves, which we usually get trotted out, trustees get trotted out to these events and speak. But we did our first one at the Marriott. Zoe Hans, thank you very much for giving us that room. And we had 150 women there. And what was so spine tingling is that a lot of women who came to that event were younger professionals. So I think what we are doing is we're creating a hub, an ecosystem for the women of the region to not only support Smart Works, but support each other, reciprocate business, create almost like a mass mentoring scheme, if you like, where they, you meet with like-minded women who are helping Smart Works, but you are finding out about what it means to be a lawyer or it means to be an accountant, all those kind of things. It's special. It's special, Phil.
And obviously, it's a female-targeted charity. How can men get involved?
Loads of ways. I mean, the checkbook's a really good one. No, then it does. No, and we have male coaches. So we don't have male dressers because that's it's just not fair for the clients who have often been in very difficult circumstances. We welcome male coaches. We have lots of male allyship. So, companies, we've just signed up. Well, Pinsent Masons have just signed up for a year as with a charity of the year. And, they're getting involved by doing some of the kind of the fundraising and things like that. But it is, as with anything, women need male allies to make the world go round. We're not kind of, we're feminists to a certain degree, aren't we? Because we're looking after women, but, we're not there to exclude anybody. We're there. We want all the support we can get.
Fantastic. And I wanted to get you on to be able to bang the drum for Smart Works. And the more people that can get involved, the better. couple of things I need you to do now. So every guest gives us a how-to. I think you may have touched on this already, but go on, tell us what your how-to is and then tell us how to do it.
I'll say how to chair an all-female board. That's what I'll say how to do. And the difference is, because I've sat on boards, I sat on the HM Treasury Women in Finance Charter Board, which was mixed. I've sat on the board of a fintech, I was the only female. And I now run an all-female board for Smart Works. And I would say how to be successful as chair of a board when you have female representation is to make sure everybody's voices are heard. And I'll give you the example of where my voice wasn't heard and how the conversation went. So it was my first board meeting. I had a suspicion that I'd been co-opted onto the board because of my gender. And I knew that I added value to that board meeting because I had 20 years experience in banking. I was also a recruiter, and the end product for this fintech was a lending tool that would really lend itself to temp recruitment companies. So I had the right credentials. And in the first meeting, it got to the end of it, and the chair said, "That went really well, didn't it, Tracy?" And I said, "It went a lot. It was shit, mate." And he was like, "Why?" I said, "Well, can I just tell you something? I never talked over another human being in the 50 odd years I've been on this planet, and I don't intend to start now. So if you do not, if you're all Billy Big Bollocks in a board room and you're talking over each other and you expect me to be part of that, it's going to be a very, very quiet board for me because I'm not going to speak. So you have to make sure that everybody, the smallest voices, get it. And I don't have a small voice, Phil, as you probably worked out. So I think
I've not noticed that.
I've got such a reputation, but my board are amazing. There's 9 of us, and we come from all walks of life. They all give their time for nothing. They're all busy people, and there are different voices and different personalities. And to get what I get out of my board is I let them all speak, and I make sure everybody has a voice.
Excellent. I mean, that's excellent advice for any meeting, whether it's male or female. But yeah, absolutely. More so, I suppose, the higher up you get when egos get in the way.
There's a couple of really strong personalities on my board, really strong. Yeah, one on a podcast. And she's brilliant, but we Helen and I have to be mindful that the other voices are just as important.
Yeah, no, totally get that. And finally, every guest gets the opportunity to give a shout out to a Leeds or local business. You've pre-warned me there might be a few here, so
I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's because it's a charity. The people who help me do it because they want to help me, and that is magic in itself. So I know you've had a shout out for Jane Slimming before, Zeal. So Zeal transformed my marketing for Smart Works. They gave us marketing support for a year. They taught my team how to do comms. They encourage us to go bold, to bigger ask. Jane, amazing woman. I've talked about Jo Smedley. She coaches. She's a volunteer coach, but she also does some transformational leadership stuff with the board for us for nothing. Claire Ackers, she's another fantastic coach. She's taught me how to cold water swim, and she raises money. She's taken us all swimming, and she's supporting Smart Works with that. I've talked about Pinsent. I've talked about Deloitte. Oh no, Deloitte's we're on the short list for Charity of the Year. So we're down to the final 3 for Deloitte. So if you are listening and you're from Deloitte, please vote for us. We need you. Oh God, Amy Mortimer. Amy Mortimer works for High Speed Training, and they have been our biggest advocates. They have brought so much to us. They give us money, they give us laptops, they give us connections. They are, they're just incredible. Incredible. There's millions of them. I could go on forever. You're all beautiful. Thank you.
There will be links to all of those people in the show notes, so you can all get in touch with them. Tracy, it's been absolutely fabulous, and even if just one person steps up to Smart Works from listening to this, it will have been worth it. But thank you very much indeed.
And thank you so much, Phil, for letting me bat on for so long. Thank you.
So that's it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you hit the follow button so every new episode gets sent straight to your phone. See you next week.